I think we're good to go. Hey, welcome. Let's do this. Okay, it says I'm live. So, welcome everybody. Good to see you. I'm Dan, your friendly fishmonger from dansfish.com. And it says, that's funny, I just switched to the view screen and it says it's waiting for me. Okay, I think I'm here. Anyway, we do this every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock p.m. And yeah, that's what we do. So welcome, glad you're here. Hey everybody, Carbon Real, good to see ya. Small Fry, glad you made it. Dan Slee, lights, camera, watermelon rind. Yeah, check this out. So last week I had put in a big old chunk of watermelon in there for the plecos and the uaru and stuff, and they totally went to town. Like, this is what's left. In fact, it's like clear right here. It's transparent. I mean, they ate this thing down to nothing. They loved it. So every time I have watermelon this summer, I'm going to throw some in the aquarium. And what surprised me was I expected the plecos to eat it, and I expected the uaru to pick at it. What I did not expect is the skunk cories, the Corydoras auratus. Auratus? Why does that sound wrong right now? Arcuatus, I think. They were all over it, and that really surprised me, but they would hang out on it almost all day long. And so I don't know if they were actively like trying to eat watermelon, or if like biofilm grows on it real fast and they're like eating on that. I don't know, but the Corydoras like to hang out on it and play around on it and like suck on it. So they were doing something, and that surprised the heck out of me. I've never seen that before with Corydoras. So yeah. Kaylor, hey, Kaylor's Aquatics, welcome Bob, good to see ya. Just Shrimp Granny, great name, the Shrimp Granny. We also have the Guppy Granny, hopefully she can join us. Patricia, good to see ya. Big Buck, howdy, howdy, howdy. Well, right back at you. Howdy cubed. The Fish Tank Barn, hey, glad you made it, and pretty early too. That's awesome. 21 watching, not too bad. I'm not surprised though, because Corey's doing kind of an awesome stream right now with Dean. So as soon as this is done, I'm going to go watch the replay. So I probably shouldn't say that now, everyone's going to go there, but it's true. It's a pretty cool stream. I've liked Corey's stuff the last little while because as someone like me who's in the industry, it's interesting to see all these fish farms and the different things going on and all that. So it's been extra interesting for me. His stuff's generally, I enjoy it, but with all the industry stuff he's doing, I'm having a blast. I'm geeking out. Anyway, I'm gonna get started today, and the first thing I want to talk to you about is an experience that I had earlier today, and yeah, I think this is important. So here's what happened is someone ordered 20 Black Tiger Dario from me, which are an awesome fish. Just awesome. And they, I think, said that they were originally from like where they lived. They used to keep this fish. They used to live in their natural environment, and they would keep it and breed it and stuff, I believe is what they told me. I could be confusing them with someone else, but I thought that was super cool. And they were ordering them for their father for a Father's Day gift because their father used to, I guess, keep and breed them, which I just think is really cool. So I got the order for them. We went back and forth, got them just what they wanted. I was able to get them females to go with the males, so hopefully they can breed them. And today I got an email. I sent them out Monday. I got an email today and said, they haven't arrived yet. Did you ship them to this address? And I looked at the address, and then I looked at the address they have in PayPal, and it's like, oh no, I didn't. The address they wanted me to ship them to was in Illinois. The address at checkout in PayPal, and it was PayPal this time because this one didn't go through GetGills. Most of my transactions go through GetGills.com, but This one, they wanted to use PayPal, so we went with PayPal. And that address was in Connecticut. So these poor fish are on their way to Connecticut. And so, of course, there's panic, and we're trying to figure this out. Before I go into where we're at in that process, just please, everyone, whenever you buy fish from someone, please include the correct, double check the address at checkout through whatever platform you're paying for. It's impossible for the seller, just so you know where the seller's coming from, it's impossible for the seller to dig through, a whole week's worth of emails or two just to check and make sure that the address you entered is correct, right? So please do that. Anyway, so these fish are in Connecticut on their way to this house that this person used to live in, but now they live in Illinois. So now it's all about, like, we'll play the blame game later. Now it's all about how do we save the fish, right? So that's what I was doing up until about 30 seconds before this live stream, because I got that email about, I don't know, an hour ago or so. And I've been just like, my adrenaline spiked, and I've been like trying to help these poor fish. So here's what we did is I asked them, are there any, do you know who the person is that lives there now? Can you contact them? Because if they can overnight the fish, then they'll still probably get to you live. If they arrive this week, Friday or Saturday, then they're probably going to be okay. I pack fish for the long haul just in case of delays and stuff like that. Never had this situation before, and they said, no, we don't know who lives there now. And I was like, okay, is there a neighbor that lives in the area that you know, and you could contact them and call them, and they could go over and say, like, hey, you're about to receive a box of fish. Here's what happened. Can we forward them? Nope, no neighbors. Don't know anyone in the area. Okay, so thank goodness for the power of the internet. So I looked at the address on Google and did some snooping around, and I found the person that I think is the current owner of that house. So this person just got this message from me through email. I shipped a box of live fish to the address, which I believe is your address, by accident. This is totally going to sound like a scam, but I promise you it's not. The box will probably arrive tomorrow because, if it hasn't arrived by now, it's probably not getting there today. The person I meant to send the box to now lives at their address in Illinois, but did not update the address on PayPal, so I sent the box to her old address in Connecticut. I would not ask, but these are live fish, so I'm wondering if it would be possible for you to overnight the fish to the Illinois address when they arrive. I'll pay for the shipping in advance if need be. I can PayPal it right over. I'm sorry to even ask this, but I don't know what else to do at this point. Because, it's a long shot. If I got that message, I would probably be like, what is the scam going on here? But maybe when they get the box, maybe then it'll make sense. And then I followed up, and I was like, since this totally looks like a scam, my online store is dansfish.com, and my YouTube channel is dancefish. Here's a link. Hopefully that will help assure you that I'm not a scammer or anything like that. So that's where we're at in the process. I'm just waiting to see if this person will get back to me. That's kind of the journey of the the wrong addressed fish, right? So that's where we're at. I'm doing everything I can. I don't know how else to get a hold of this person, but if anyone here lives in what's the town in Connecticut? I'd have to look it up. If anyone here lives in Connecticut, let me know, and then I'll look up the town if anyone here does. And if you happen to live in the town and like, hey, I know that person, that would just be a miracle. But it's a long shot, but it could happen. Anyway, that was my little adventure. And that's why there's things that sellers put in their terms and conditions. By the way, the customer couldn't be nicer. Like, they are fantastic. The customer could have been like, well, and it's your fault and you should check. I mean, the truth is that they did send me the shipping address in an email, but there's been, we're getting close to 40 emails back and forth for this sale. Over 30 emails before in this whole conversation, before they even asked if I've shipped to the right address. And a seller just simply cannot, on a busy shipping day, like, read through their entire week's emails in the hopes, or to make sure that they're shipping the right address. Please, at checkout, whether it's through Get Gills or PayPal or some other format, please make sure that you leave the correct address. But that's why I have this policy that says, here, let me share this with you. This is my policy. We can't dig through emails for your shipping address. We will ship these fish to the address provided at checkout or payment. So please, please, please check it to make sure it's correct. Now, this is by no means, I'm not slamming the customer. I never read terms and policies when I buy stuff online. So it's kind of hard for me to expect a customer to do that. But, to blame them if they don't or something. So I'm not blaming them or anything like that. I just want to make a point that if you ever buy fish online, whatever format you check out with, just please double check so stuff like this doesn't happen. Again, that customer's been fantastic. They aren't demanding anything. They aren't like, give me my money back. They're basically like, okay, how can we solve this? Which is a fantastic kind of person to deal with and someone I want to keep as a customer. So hopefully I can get a hold of this person in Connecticut. Hopefully they respond and we can resolve the issue. But that is my last hour or so tonight. It's been crazy. So welcome to the life of a fishmonger. Speaking of fishmongering, there's something super cool that happened, which is on getgills.com. This person, I always check it, and this person, First Coast Tropical Fish Store, posted. And also there's another fish store, I mean there's a lot that have posted, but First Coast Tropical Fish I'm super excited about. And then I don't think I mentioned this one yet. I might have last week. If I did, forgive me. But it's called Pez Aquatics. They have 34 different species, and some of them are pretty exciting, some cool plecos and stuff. So they're adding stuff to the site that no one else has. So I think that's really cool. But First Coast Tropical Fish, I am super excited about because I know these guys. First Coast is run by Chris Butcher. Chris Butcher used to be not only is he a longtime member of the American Killifish Association, but he and his father, Steve, used to run the only successful, large-scale killifish production facility or business that I'm aware of. They used to raise hundreds and hundreds of killifish and ship them to wholesalers all around the nation. I used to see their killifish at wholesalers in Los Angeles. They would, and not just the common stuff, like not just the golden wonders and the clown killies and stuff. They did blue galaris. They did, I believe, Aphyosema striatum. I believe Fundula panchax emiati. They did a few Notho species. They did what was then called Cynolebius whitei. It's something else, and I can never remember the genus name. But and either Steve or Chris. Steve is Chris's father, and I don't know if Steve's still around. Hopefully he is. But either Steve or Chris used to hold an office in the AKA. I think they were on the board of directors or something like that. They've written lots of articles on killifish keeping. So I've been following Steve and Chris since I was a kid, since I was a teenager. And so it's super cool to see that one of the people, I don't know if you call him an idol, but someone I've looked up to and read their stuff and has helped me through my journey as a killifish keeper since the time I was a kid, basically, is now posting on getgills.com. It's just super exciting for me. So he's got some cool killifish here, by the way. Chocolate Australis, that's a really neat fish. I think he's got neat stuff. A swamp darter, how often do you find darters? Unless you live, where they do, I suppose. But I don't. So finding darters is really cool. But anyway, so I don't know if I'm necessarily promoting his store, but it's just a moment where it was super cool for me. I was like, Chris Butcher from First Coast Tropical Fish is listing on my platform, right? I don't know. It's kind of like if you owned a computer platform and, I don't know, Steve Jobs or something started posting on it. It's not quite that, but it's something like that, right? So that was really, really cool for me. There's been several other stores added as well, so if you haven't been on getgills.com in a while, it's worth checking out. It really is blowing up. And it used to be that I was working hard to get people to list fish on there because we were brand new and we didn't have a lot of fish listed on the site. Now it's the opposite problem. Now I'm like, oh man, there's a lot of stuff. Now I've got to make sure that there's enough buyers going to the site so that these folks see it's worthwhile to list there. So that's my next challenge, is figuring out how to pivot from kind of marketing to, this is the problem with any two-sided marketplace, right? There's even some three-sided marketplaces that get crazy, but it's how to kind of pivot that into making more people that are potentially in the market to buy fish aware of Get Gills, so that the folks that have listed their fish get some sales and are like, oh, okay, this is worth it, and stay there. So that's the challenge right now with the business. Jonathan's still finalizing some of the massive, like basically 2.0. It's going to be kind of Get Gills 2.0, all the code and database. We have an intern now that's in Texas with Jonathan working on the site as well, so things are kind of happening. Jonathan had a baby this week, so he's going to be tied up for a couple weeks. Well, did he have a baby? Jonathan's wife delivered a baby this week. How's that? So, but stuff's, so, it might be just a little while before he can turn his mind back to the site and get done. But I don't know, he's doing a good job. I can't wait to show you the stuff. So anyway, that's enough rambling from me for the time being. I'm going to start getting to some comments and questions. If anyone here is new or has forgotten, the way to contact and kind of we manage the chat here is make your comment or question at Dancefish. So the at symbol, and then start typing Dancefish. No space or anything. Kind of like Chewy did here when he says, I know Chris. Oh, you know Chris Butcher too? Yeah, at Dancefish, right? That makes it highlight for me, so I see your question or comment, and then I'll reply to it. If you don't do that, then I'm going to assume that it's just chat among yourselves, which is fantastic and fun, and everyone does, which is great, all the conversations that you have among yourselves in the chat. But if I'm ignoring you, it's not that I'm ignoring you, it's that I'm not seeing it. It's not highlighting for me. If you post a couple times and I'm still not responding, then if you would call a mod's attention to it, Kaler's Aquatics is on it, and he'll keep an eye out for that, then the mod will highlight it for me, and then I'll be able to get to it. So that's kind of how we manage the chat around here. So without further ado, I'm going to start, I'll tell you some other stuff too. I released some new fish for sale this week, and I'll go over that, but let's get to the chat for a little bit. Mob Guppy saying howdy. 44 Mag Guy, hey, right back at you. What's up? What's up? Not my hair, that's for sure. My hair fell off my head down onto my back. That's basically the trajectory that I'm taking. HC Aqua, hey, glad to see you. Glad to see you, Jesse. Always good to have Hawaii representing. The Fish Tank Barn, can you contact the post office and have them reroute? If they were still open, I mean, the post office is closed at this point. So I did get online and to see if I could do it online. And there's no way that I know of to do that through USPS. I checked anyway to see if they had updated that and included that function, but I don't know how to do that. So I will be calling the post office, but at this point at night, it's too late. I mean, they're already closed. They close at 5, and it's Connecticut. So by the time the customer sent me the email, yeah, it was already closed. 5:36 even. Connecticut's 2 hours 2 hours later than me, so it's 9:20 there. But I'll do that tomorrow. And my hope is, see, here's where it's going to be tricky. If they'll just reroute it, that's great, but it really needs to be like next day. It really needs to get there Friday or Saturday. So what I'm hoping they'll allow me to do is they'll reroute it and kind of, if I can pay extra to update it to Express or something, I don't know, to help it get there. So I don't know, we're trying. Kevin's Aquatics, I've shipped 2 pairs of rainbow cichlids. Cool. 3 times now to Texas. Oh no, each time they got trashed. Last box arrived in 9 days with the bag still intact, full of water, and the fish dead. Man! And I'm guessing you're sending a priority or express, Bob? Is that right? Man, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to hear that. I start shipping UPS tomorrow. Okay, hopefully that goes better for you. I wonder what that is. Yeah, I've used all 3, and honestly, for me, they've all been pretty darn good. So, sorry to hear that happened. Hopefully, UPS solves that for you, and yeah, keep us posted. That's horrible. I'm sorry to hear that. 9 days. I mean, I guess that's happened to me like within the last year, maybe twice, but that's many hundreds and hundreds of packages. So, that's not a good, that's not a good ratio. 3 times now, and each time they're thrashed. I'm sorry to hear that. Hope UPS does better. Real Stinks, can't they change the address? Not that I know of, Real. Not that I know of. Jeff Chambers, I always try to plug getgills.com on the Aquaswap subreddit when I can. Hey, thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that. Get more hobbyists to post more stuff. Yeah, awesome. Maybe I'm showing my age here, but I have not taken the dive into Reddit at all yet. I think I visited Reddit maybe like twice. I should probably check it out, though, because I do know that it's a pretty happening site. I hear about it all the time, and I just haven't done it yet. So maybe I'll check Reddit out sometime and just see what's going on there exactly, because I don't know much more than the name, and it's a place to communicate. But I appreciate that, Jeff. Thank you so much. And anyone that ever plugs Get Gills, that is the best thing anyone could do for me and my business at this point. Buying fish is great. Being here is great. All that stuff is great. But the best thing is spreading the word. That's so helpful. So thanks to everyone that does that. And I know lots of you do. And I'm flattered by it, and I'm appreciative of it. So thank you. 39 watching. Cool. 18 likes. You know what to do. Right on, Bob. You know to do. Fancy Tail Aquatics, get with me on PM. I can help promote it. All right, Fancy Tail, I will PM you. I'm assuming that's at Fancy Tail Aquatics. Hang on. If I don't write stuff down, or like in and out, right? So here we go. Thanks, Fancy Tail. I'll get in touch. 44 Mad Guy 1. Maybe the person that Stillwater Aquatics Jr. I'll be right with you, 44. I got a super chat. $9.99. Thanks. Sale on getgills.com at Stillwater Aquatics. Half price shipping on the Gelitochromis breeding trio and Black Bar Endler colony. Contact me if you have any questions. Thanks, Stan. Hey, you're welcome, Stillwater. And by the way, I appreciate the super chat. Don't feel like you have to super chat to say something like that on the chat. I'm totally fine with that. Maybe one day if it ever gets to the point where that's like all that's happening in chat is folks are promoting their stuff on Get Gills, then we'll have to make a rule where I'm like, okay, we can't do that anymore, like including me. But right now, that's not happening at all. There's plenty of room in the chat. It's not being dominated by sales pitches or anything like that. So Stillwater or anyone else on Get Gills, just be judicious about it. Like, don't clog the feed, but I've got no problem with you sharing your stuff. If there's a particular thing you're excited about, or something new that happened, something like that, yeah, share away, and don't feel like you have to super chat for that. Although I appreciate it, thank you, and of course, it makes the wife super happy. Okay, back to 44 Mad Guy 1. Maybe the person the fish got sent to is an aquarium keeper. Long shot, I know. Yeah, maybe. Or at the very least, maybe there's a local pet store, local fish store that they could take it to. I mean, I don't know. If I was a fish store and I got 20 free black tiger Darios, I'd be pretty happy. Haley Janix. I have a red Delta. This is a guppy, I assume. Having babies right now, up to 20 so far. Cool. Get your camera out, man. I want to see that video, them popping out. That's something I've never seen. So I bred lots of live bears. I've never seen in person the actual moment of birth. Like, I've never seen the baby leave the mother. And one of these days, I'm gonna be there at the right time and see that. My suspicion, and I could be wrong about this, someone here will know better than I do, someone that's a true live bear geek, but my suspicion is that they probably tend to drop their fry at night, because it just seems like that would be a safer time to do it. So maybe that's why I'm not seeing them. But obviously, though, some do it during the day, because people do videotape it, and it does happen. But I wonder if normally it happens at night, because I'm surprised all the live bears I bred over the years that I still have never seen that. So, okay. Haley Janix, a black Moscow, 21 babies yesterday. Cool. That's a good haul. That's awesome. Patricia Klopel, can you deliver to hot weather states like Arizona? Yes, right now. And what's your procedure? Chimps here are just going up from here. So I can. When I do that, I ship with a cold pack, and it tends to work well. I mean, thanks for letting me know. By the way, if you purchase and you do live somewhere where temperature is super high or super cold or something, it always helps to shoot me an email after you place your order and say, hey, it's super hot right now, and I'll work with you on that. So the reason it helps if it's after you place the order is because then I can actually print out the order and take notes on it. And I'll include an ice pack, or I'll have them held at the post office for you, or we'll be like, oh, well, it looks like next week's going to be cooler, so we'll just hold the package. You know, we'll work back and forth to make that happen. But yes, I ship all summer long, Arizona, Texas, Florida, and all that, and have pretty good results. It's basically, I treat it like warm weather, like I'm shipping in the dead of winter, but just the opposite. So it's cool weather packs and things. And I am checking out the they're not cold packs, they're the phase 22 packs, which heat and cool and keep things at a more or less good temperature. In the dead of winter, I don't think those will work well for me because my temperature's too cold and I don't think they create that much heat. But when it's hot, I think they might be perfect because they'll probably keep the temperature about 20 degrees below what it is outside. I think they can keep that differential pretty stable. So if you're at, how hot were you, 112? Then they would take it down to 82 if the box got that hard. At least that's the theory. Now that being said, even if it's 112, most of the packages are, they're flown from so they go from an office or facility, like a postal warehouse or whatever, which people work there, so often they're climate controlled to some degree. I'm not saying it's like comfortable like your living room, but it's probably not going to be 112 degrees. Onto a truck, there's a person driving that truck, and it's open to the back, so usually it's a temperature that a person can be comfortable at or sustain for an 8-hour shift or whatever, right? And then from there, they might go to an airplane, and they're in the cargo hold, which isn't temperature controlled, but they're at altitude most of the time where it's pretty darn cool. So the truth is, even in hot weather, usually the box isn't getting nearly as hot as the actual temperature, unless, and this is where it becomes a problem, unless the box is delivered and the person it's delivered to can't get to the box to take it inside or open it and take care of the fish right away. So if you live in a hot area and the box is put outside and it's in the morning, you're at work, and you get back 8 hours later after your work day is done and they've been sitting out in the heat the whole time, that could be a problem, especially if they're out in the sun. So often, if that's the case, having it held at the post office is a great solution, because the post office is generally temperature controlled, at least to some extent. So that's kind of how that works, Patricia. Hopefully that is enough information to answer your question. But yeah, so far so good. And after several years doing this, I think that's generally the thing to do. Include cold packs, and if necessary, have it held at the post office. Now, I'm excited to look into these Phase 22 packages. They're not cheap. They're like $5 and change each. But it might be worth it. If someone lives in Arizona and it's 112, an extra $5 to make sure an order gets there alive, I'm willing to do that. And hopefully, I have to price it all out and everything. Hopefully, I won't have to raise shipping charges to do that, or if I do, hopefully it's very, very minimal. But yeah. 43 watching, not too bad. 44 Mad Guy 1, recommend Get Gills to a Facebook Aquarium group member. Recommended it to a member the other day. Hey, thanks. I really appreciate that. That is all super helpful. Like, every company, the thing they dream of is word of mouth, right? There's in my company, which is, technically it's an e-commerce company or a electronic marketplace. There's a lot of startups. Like I'm a business junkie a little bit. I follow the startups in Silicon Valley, and I'm from California, and Peter Thiel and Mark Cuban and all those guys, lots of other folks too, Y Combinator, all those things. I'm always, and many others. I mean, those are just the ones that pop in my head, but I'm always trying to learn about business. And often I do it through podcasts or YouTube videos. I'll read too. But, during your workday, I just have it in the background. That or fish stuff. And most of your startups, here's what often happens, is a startup company like mine, mine's not as scalable as theirs. They're going after like an exit of hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. I'm just looking at making a living and providing good fish, right? I don't know how. I mean, the company can get successful. It's not going to be billions and billions, and maybe it can take an investor or two, but it's not going to be able to handle. Get Gills or Dan's Fish is not going to be able to handle like a venture capitalist that wants to 100x their money within 3 years or something like that, right? But a lot of these startups, what they do is they get going and they get tons of users, and the way they do that is through advertising. They spend so much money on advertising, but their users aren't what we call sticky. The users don't stay. They have a lot of what's called churn. So new users will come to the site because of the ad, but then they'll leave. And these companies fail because unless it actually is a product people want and are going to use, like hopefully Get Gills is, then it doesn't matter how many people you get to use the site because they're not going to stay. And those companies blow through budgets so quickly and end up just dying. So my strategy is different. My strategy is I'm doing some advertising occasionally, but very little. Like I think if you put it down per month, it's like maybe $10 or $20 per month, like almost nothing. And I haven't done advertising actually for several months because what I really need is what every company dreams for, and that's word of mouth. So Mad Guy 1 and anyone else that does use Get Gills or knows about it and shares that with their friends or on groups and things, that's the best thing because that's real. That's not an advertisement that I just throw a bunch of money at it to get the word out. That's people that know it and have a relationship in some way with the site and are recommending it. And if my friend tells me, or someone isn't paid tells me, you should check this out, I'm much more likely to do that. And if the person is saying that, then it's more likely that the site is adding value somehow to them. That's why they're saying that. So that's the best thing ever. 46 watching, all right. So that's my strategies. Be good enough is to have real growth. So that when Get Gills grows, it's real natural growth. It's not this fake bump, which is going to go, whoa, that looks awesome. But then when the advertising revenue runs out, boom. Or you're spending so much on advertising that you aren't generating enough revenue to compensate for that, boom, right? Which is what happens to just about every startup out there that's ever funded through the traditional, startup model. So anyway, that's a long way of saying, and hopefully not too boring of a way of saying, thanks, super helpful and exactly what we need. Thank you so much. Edward Rodriguez, I butchered that. Edward Rodriguez, hey, can't wait to get my fricatas. Yeah, unfortunately, UPS said it's delayed. Not your fault, just a little worried. Edward, where did you live again? I pack them for the long haul. So if they arrive tomorrow, Friday, or even Saturday, odds are they're all going to be okay. That you aren't the first one this has happened to. In fact, other people in this chat can probably chime in and be like, oh yeah, it happened to me and they arrived fine. So almost always that's going to be fine. I individually bag the fish. I make sure they have enough oxygen. They're in a nicely insulated box. They've been, their bowels have been voided as much as possible before they're put in the bag, so the water stays pretty clean. They're safe in there, Seachem safe, to take care of in case their system isn't completely voided and they defecate in the bag. The safe will help control any ammonia that results from that, and that's what the real problem is with that stuff, that and oxygen depletion. So I really do pack them to last more than 2 days in the mail. So they should be fine. Now, if you're one of the very few people where they arrive and they aren't fine, just let me know and I'll make it right. It's always super sad when that happens because these are fish and we care about fish, or we wouldn't be, doing this. You wouldn't be buying them. I wouldn't be selling them. Hopefully I wouldn't be selling them, but I'll take care of you. But the odds are they're going to be just fine. In fact, there's been lots of delays this week, which is a little strange. I'm not quite sure why. Every now and then there's a week where stuff just goes wrong. Maybe there's flooding. I don't know. Was there a tornado somewhere? Every now and then a key hub of the system gets hit and then it just delays lots of stuff. It's not something that either of us can control, as you know. But thanks, Edward, for the comment, and just keep me posted. But just know, bottom line, no matter what happens, I'm going to take care of you, okay? If you give me the wrong address, that I can't help with. That I cannot help with. But apart from that, I'll always do whatever it takes to make the situation as right as it can be. Reels tanks, yes, phase 22, cool. I'm looking more into those. I'm trying to find a cheaper supply because $5 and change per pack, that's a lot. That adds a lot to my shipping cost, and I really don't want to have to raise shipping to pass that on to you guys. That being said, if I have to, then it's probably worth it. And Patricia, maybe you can be the guinea pig. I'll try it on your order. I don't have them yet because I'm still looking for a cheaper supplier, and so I'm getting my order in for next week. I'm working on the planning of the new facility that I'm trying to build, and trying to source these Phase 22 packs in a way that makes sense, along with everything else. But as soon as I have them, I'll try them out, and hopefully it'll be like, yeah, I live in Arizona. It was 125 today. I checked the temperature in the bags, and they were 80 degrees. Hopefully that's the story. But I won't know till I try it. Chewy LTD, yes, Postal Services buildings are climate controlled, as well as some vehicles. It is whether or not postal air goes through heated cargo bays or not on the aircraft. Yeah. I don't, yeah, I mean, in the summer, I don't think that the cargo bays are heated. I could be wrong about this, but from what I understand, they're not. And, you know, at altitude, it's going to be pretty cool in there. Now, Chewy, I'm not an expert on cargo bays, so you might be totally right. But I think in the summer they would turn the heat off on those things. But again, not my bailiwick. That specific part of it I don't know much about. Hadley Jennings, have you ever bred pea puffers? And if so, how well did it go? So I have not. I do know others that have. And basically what I understand from talking with them is well-planted tank, the pea puffers would spawn, and then basically they would remove the parents and raise the babies. The babies are going to need tiny, tiny, tiny little food for a long time. So most people that I know that have done it haven't raised large batches. They've just got a few to survive. And that's about the extent that I know about it, because I myself have never done it. If anyone here has bred pea puffers and can give us a little more detail, would you respond to Hadley Jennings and help out? And if you wouldn't mind including an @DansFish on that, I'd love to see your experience too. I'd love it to highlight so I can follow along. That's an interesting topic to me. That's a fish I've never bred. I've never bred any puffer, or at least I've never bred and raised any puffer. I'm sure that I've had pea puffers spawn on me, but I didn't raise them up. Hadley Jennings, you can't lose oxygen out of the bags ever. The water is made of O2. Oh, I know that you don't lose the oxygen, but if bacteria starts developing in the water, then the bacteria takes up the oxygen, is what I'm saying. So I know that it's a closed system. I mean, pretty much. I guess a plastic bag, there's probably some diffusion between the plastic membrane. It's really slow, but there's probably something. But it's not that the oxygen's leaving the bag, it's that the bacteria in the bag is feeding on the feces and exploding in population, and they are absorbing a lot of the oxygen to the detriment of the fish being able to take oxygen up. The Fish Tank Barn, hey, sorry I missed the super chat before. The Fish Tank Barn for $4.99, thanks so much. Tip jar for the next Santa Maria project. All of my fish from my last Dance Fish order have dropped fry. Awesome. I am so excited to hear that. And the Limia did too, right? I saw a video where you had Limia fry. Did I not, or did you mention that in a... Somehow I know that you had Limia fry too from the Niagara Fasciatus, I believe. So that's awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, let's see here. Hang on, chat jumped on me. All right, I'm finding it. I'm getting there. Rena Mar, hello. Are swordtails good tank mates with half beaks? No. An auto sinkless in a planted 30-gallon. I'm back to the half beak idea again. Would platies or guppies be a better color shot with them? So I would not put swordtails with half beaks. Half beaks aren't delicate. They're actually really hardy, but they're long and thin, and they don't have like a deep, robust body that can take any bullying. That's a hard word to say right. So, and they're a very kind of slow-moving fish. They're sedate, so they'll kind of hang out. It's not that they never move. They're not a boring fish, but they'll kind of hang out and move and cruise slowly and look for food. Swordtails are pretty boisterous, and they have like a big, strong body, and they're going to be up at the top of the water quite a bit. So I would avoid them personally. I would probably avoid almost any other live bear. Guppies are probably okay. I have some guppies in with my half beaks, just because sometimes it's hard to get guppies out of a tank. But there's very few in there. It's not like this big mob of guppies. So guppies, if you only had a few, that would probably be okay. Auto sinkless would be fine with them. Ideally, though, if you can find a fish that stays in the middle to bottom of the aquarium, that would be ideal. Something like a dwarf cichlid, like an apisto, would be great. Gudgeons would be awesome, like peacock gudgeons. Things like that. Or if you do get tank mates with them that go to the top, hopefully don't stay at the top, but go there sometimes. Something that's kind of sedate, something that isn't like a real rapid swimmer, a real boisterous fish. Because those half-beaks are kind of a slow, chill fish, and could get stressed out if there's these fast fish constantly swimming in their faces, if that makes sense. So those are my thoughts about that. Although, again, you can keep some other fish with them if it's very low densities. Like in a big tank, you could keep half-beaks and a couple boisterous fish, but if they're constantly in their face, that's when it's a problem. 44 Mad Guy 1, do you have Betta embellus males, or are they just females? Thanks. So I don't know, but so there's 2 that I know are males. I'm holding those back because I'm going to try to breed them. The others, there are several that I know are females because their egg tube is visible. But there's this in-between group that some days I look at them and I'm like, oh, those are all females. And then some days I look at them and I'm like, man, those are bright colors, and I think that one's fins are starting to extend and things like that. So that middle group is a big question mark for me. I really don't know. That's why I have them listed as unsexed, because I don't want to send one of those with a female and then have it turn into that's a female. They're still not full grown by any means. I think they're probably old enough that middle group, if they were males, would start developing their longer finnage. They don't develop hugely long finnage like a domesticated splendens, but it's noticeable. But I don't know because they aren't full grown yet, so I'm not comfortable saying they're males or females, that middle group. I can definitely send you females if you want. If you want males, I can't right now. I can send some of that middle group, but I honestly don't know if they're just colorful females, but I'm not seeing an egg tube, or if they're immature males. So that's where we're at on that. And someone with more experience with Betta embellus could probably look in a heartbeat and be like, oh, no, those are all females, that whole middle group. But I have a lot of experience with like Betta splendens and stuff, but Betta embellus is not a species I've kept often. So I'm just not confident to say that without giving them some more time to grow up. So that's where they're at, Mad Guy 1. But yeah. Patricia, sounds good. Cool. Chewy LTD, you have choice now apparently by shipping cargo as to heated or unheated air cargo. There's a price difference apparently now. During the winter time, it affects the transshipper cost. Oh, okay. Interesting. Hopefully they don't have the heat on in the heat of summer. That would defy the purpose, I would think. But that makes sense. Like if you have a dog in a crate or something that has to travel with you because you're, I don't know, moving across to another country or something, then you would, and it's the dead of winter and it's a cold climate, then you might need to make sure that dog is in a heated cargo compartment. That makes sense to me. The Fish Tank Barn. The video with Santa Maria's. I did have Limia perugiae spawn. Okay, cool. Dadgummit, I hate being late, says the Cove. Well, welcome. Glad you made it. The Cove is never late. The Cove arrives precisely. Oh, geez, now I forgot the quote from Gandalf. When he means to? I got to refresh that. I got going on it, and then I forgot the ending. I thought I knew that. Go Fish Aquatics. Hey, you dance fish. Well, hey. Could you tell me what makes Santa Maria Endlers so special? Why are they so much more expensive compared to most Endlers when it seems they look just like a common Endler? So, Go Fish, I guess it's supply and demand. There aren't many Santa Marias available. And so, I don't know if it's a new strain or if it was a particularly difficult strain to get fixed to breed true or something like that. All I know is that when I got them, they were expensive and they haven't really gone down in price. So I just don't think they're that commonly available. So for me specifically, my strain, it took so much work and time and tank space to get that strain set in breeding true that that's just kind of the cost of generating that fish for me. And my competition sells them for even more. So I suppose that's general throughout the industry, because if they were being churned out by the, hundreds of thousands or whatever, they wouldn't be any more expensive than any other Endler or Guppy or what have you. So that's my guess. I do think, though, Go Fish Aquatics, that within a little while, as the strain gets out there and breeds more or less true, and more people get it and breed it, the cost is going to curve down like any. I mean, I hate to call fish a commodity, but like anything does, if there's more of it. So as our supply increases, they'll gradually go down. But that's why it's just the market has decided that based on the supply and how many are available, that's what they go for. Yeah. I mean, I'm not an economist, but that's my theater professor / fishmonger take on the situation. Chewy, half-beaks are very predatory on fry, so do not expect any other live bears or other fry in the tank with half-beaks. Yeah, that's true. That's true. If you do keep guppies in there with them or whatever, they are going to have a delightful snack once a month or so. Yep. Edward Rodriguez, Northeast Illinois. Okay, not too bad. I trust your shipping method. It is impressive. By the way, Lumpy Dog video about the Furcatus made me pull the trigger. They are a pretty fish. So sort of word of mouth with video. Yeah. Well, awesome. Yeah, Lumpy Dog's a good guy, and yeah, I know that he's breeding and raising those fish, so that's pretty awesome. So Edward, thanks. And again, I mean, all we can, once the fish are put in that box and that box is handed to the post office, all we can do is wait. Yep. But almost always it goes well, even if there's a delay. Rena Mar, that's what I was thinking with swordtails and half-beaks. Swordtails can be obnoxiously irritating to other fish. Thanks for the confirmation. Peacock gudgeons are an idea. Cool, you're welcome. By the way, if anyone is having aggression issues with swordtails, something that can help that is to get more swordtails. If you have once you get to a critical mass, then they get so focused on each other that they stop harassing the other fish. The worst thing is like a male swordtail or even a male limia or something all by itself. All that fish wants to do is spawn, so it's going to go harass all the other fish in the aquarium, even if they're not the same species or genus or family or whatever. So I've had a single male limia, what was it, Niger fasciata or Perugier? Probably both, that tried to spawn with barbs because I made the mistake of being like, hey, these are beautiful and I have a bunch of extra males. Or I didn't have a bunch. I had like 4 extra males, so I put them in this aquarium behind me when I had the Odessa barbs in there. And only 4 in that size tank wasn't enough. And so they would go try to spawn with the barbs. So, but you get a big group together and they don't bother the other fish as much. Yeah, so that's one thing to help with swordtails if they're like, man, this thing's bugging everything in the tank. If you have room, I mean, you can remove the swordtail if you want to another tank and problem solved, but getting more swordtails is often an option that will help too. It seems counterintuitive. It seems like it would make the problem worse, but in my experience, it helps. Mad Guy, 44 Mad Guy 1, okay, thanks. You're welcome. Kayla, thanks for linking up the t-shirt. Appreciate it. Go Fish Aquatics. Yours are actually better price, your Santa Maria Endlers. Yeah, I know. I mean, I didn't like purposely undercut the competition or anything like that. Their strain might be great. I just don't know. But I know that mine breeds true and all that. I just thought, what would I be willing to pay for a good pair of Santa Marias? And that's about where I decided I would be willing to pay. So that's where I priced them. Bathyphila, you ever find that your fish seem happier when you aren't doing regular water changes? Been neglecting my tanks for a month, and many of them are showing great color in the algae outbreak. So, yes and no. As long as certain parameters aren't going out of whack, then yes. especially if it's a species that's from soft water, black water, because as the water ages, it softens and solidifies. It softens and acidifies. So often there's a lot of species that we keep in hard water, even though they're naturally from, soft water. And those species, absolutely, there's lots of soft water species that have been bred by neglect. So they've been put in an aquarium, and I don't mean neglect like in a bad way even, just water changes aren't done frequently, and the water softens and acidifies, and it's like, hey, we spawn, right? That happens quite frequently. The danger with that is it's creating an environment which is unstable. So the fish might be happy and it's all great. So it's going like this, right? Let's say here, okay, where am I? Here we are. Let's say my hand here is hard alkaline water, or harder, more alkaline water. Here is like the fish's happy place. Soft acidic, we can breed now successfully and our eggs will hatch water. And then here is like, oh crap, everything's going to hell, right? So you start here, they're fine, they're super like, hey, it's soft, it's acidic, this is like nature. But then there's this tipping point where you get to here and just the whole thing crumbles. And so that's the issue. There's nothing wrong with keeping fish without water changes. Some people do it. They use plants and other things instead of water changes. They might top off occasionally with, RO or distilled water, so they aren't increasing hardness and things. That can go for a long time and be successful. Some folks rarely do water changes. There's no right or wrong way, as long as you're aware that there is a tipping point and you know how to manage for that. But yes, I have noticed that. Killers Aquatics. The uniformity of the strain, the size, and the rarity are why I invested in 2 pairs of Santa Marias. Yours were less expensive, Dan, than lesser quality. Yeah, it's a good investment. It's not, hobby speaking, right? It's a good investment. I only listed, I think, 6 or 8 for sale because I didn't want people to spend that much on them. And then, like if I had hundreds for sale and they all sold, that'd be great for me. But then everyone that spent that much on them would breed them, and then they would sell them, and suddenly the market's flooded, and they're like, what? I'm only getting like, $10 a pair for these? I spent $85. That's not fair. So I'm kind of trying to limit the number of pairs I'm selling. So just released a few pairs. I'll wait a little while. Then I'll release a few more. I'll wait a little while. Then I'll release a few more, right? So that the folks that bought them have a chance to kind of breed and sell before the price just absolutely plummets. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do to kind of keep that supply and demand favorable to the people buying from me. And then after a little while, though, it's inevitable. Eventually, I don't know if it's a year from now or how long from now, there's so many that have been distributed and are being bred that the price will plummet. So it's just like anything. And by the way, I'll say this again. They're breeding just about 100% true for me, but very occasionally there's a couple in the spawn that don't breed true. And with females, I can't always tell what they are. The males are easy to tell. It's like you can look at that thing and you're like, that looks like a Santa Maria. The females, you look at that thing and it's like, I'm pretty darn sure that's a Santa Maria, but lots of Endler females look the same, right? So I'll just repeat this again briefly. Anyone that bought them from me, if you breed them and the fry are way out of whack and they're not throwing the majority, a large percentage of Santa Marias, let me know and I'll replace that female with one of my own that I have bred and is proven out, okay? Because I'd hate for you to get that female and then be like, oh man, I spent $85 and they're not breeding true, right? So I just want to put that out there. KT, Dan, hey, didn't highlight, but I see it here. I would order chocolate gouramis, but I have a 20-gallon long Caridina shrimp tank only, no other fish. Would that work? I think that would work as long as you did not, except for the shrimplets. Now, I haven't tried it, but chocolate gouramis have a very small mouth. So I think that if they were put into an established Caridina colony or Neocaridina colony, I think that the adult Caridinas or Neos would be just fine. That being said, I've never tried it. So what I would say is I think it's worth a try, but I would definitely have a plan B ready so that you can keep an eye on them after you first put them in. And if you notice, hey, they are eating those shrimp, then you can fix that, right? But yeah, their natural prey are things like baby Caridina shrimp, little tiny organisms that they seek out in the leaf litter, and they'll just cruise really slowly and then peck at stuff as they see it. So they're going to eat the shrimplets for sure. But I've got a feeling that their mouth is too small for them to handle adult Caridinas. It's just a guess, though. I've never done it. Has anyone here done that? Has anyone here kept chocolate gouramis with cherry shrimp or neos, or I know cherries are neos, but cherry shrimp or maybe crystal red shrimp or anything like that, so that we can get a better answer? Someone with experience can help KT out, because I don't have experience. Susan, hey, how are you? Good to see you. Patricia, FYI, I no longer breed the ghost shrimp. Got rid of them, back to the betta splendens. All right. Hey, yeah, I was super impressed that you bred those. So many of them are brackish water kind of species that, or live close to the ocean and have to go through that salty period. But my brother on his farm in Texas has a freshwater pond very far away from the ocean, and he said there's ghost shrimp in there too. So there must be species and strains that, and you bred them too. So yeah, there are freshwater only species. But that blew my mind. I didn't know that until I talked to you. And by the way, Susan, SLC Aquatics, I might be in Salt Lake towards the end of this month. There's kind of a family thing going on there on my wife's side. I don't know if I can go or not yet, but I'm in the middle of some really big projects, and things are kind of time sensitive and stuff like that. But if I can, I'll contact you, and I don't know if we could, hook up and get to see each other in person, and maybe I could look at your tanks and video some stuff or something like that. That would be fun. Go Fish Aquatics. Do you do backyard tubbing? If so, will you do a video on this? So yes, I'll be releasing a video on that. It's scuds. So it's a 100-gallon black Rubbermaid water trough basically, that to grow scuds in outside. So I will be showing that. I'm kind of waiting for the culture to get up and running and of size, and then I'll show the whole series of setting up and growth and stuff like that. So yep, you should see that from me, absolutely. But I don't do fish outside. I could do a few species outside, but Monday night, it was 37 degrees here at night. So actually, my neighbor said 33 degrees. The forecast said 37. So it just gets too cold for a lot of species. So I could do some, though. I could do white clouds. I could do a few, but my species are super limited just by how cool it gets here. Even in the summer, the nights are going to be down in the 40s with regularity. So it's one challenge of mountain living. Rena Mar, you moderate your SME release because you are not a money-hungry person and want others to be able to participate if they choose. We'll go with that. No, but it is that. I don't... I want the people to buy from me to be happy that they bought from me a year from now, right? I don't want them to be like, yes, I got that, and then it's like, I shouldn't have done that, right? Now, that being said, I don't know that people are actually buying them as a money-making investment. They're probably buying them because they're cool fish. But in the back of our minds as hobbyists, if we breed fish, there's always that thing of hey man, all I would have to do is sell 3 pairs of these and I could pay for fish food for like 2 months, right? There's always, how do I pay for this hobby type questions in the back of our mind that have to be answered. So yeah, I am a business guy for sure, and I have to make money to survive, but I'm a long-term vision business guy. I try to do things that I'm like, in 5 years, in 10 years, is this going to be something that benefited the business? And I think that's a good way to think, because if the answer is yes, the reason it's yes is because it benefited the community or the hobby or the industry in general in some way, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't be helping long term. People wouldn't be happy with it long term. So you could argue that in a way it's ultimately selfish, because I do feel like that is the way to build the most successful company long term. And like in the back of my evil mind, I'm like, someday I'm like the largest fish retailer in the nation, all that. But that's not the end goal. Really the mission, and this is what drives me every day. The mission is, how do I make it to the best of my ability? And I'm not perfect and there are problems, but thankfully they're very few and far between. But how do I make it so that I can help people be successful in this hobby long term? It sickens me the way, how many times have we heard this? Like, people find out you're into fish and they're like, oh yeah, I had an aquarium once, I got some fish, and then like 2 weeks later they were all dead, and so I threw the aquarium in the garage, and then like 5 years after that I don't know, I sold it at a garage sale or something. Or we always hear that story. Oh yeah, I tried that once, and then like within 3 days later they were all dead, so I didn't. That's the worst thing we could possibly be doing. If you're in a fish business, you're killing your market. You should be trying to grow your market by making those people successful, so they have a great time, so they keep buying fish from you for years and years, and they tell all their friends about it, and they help their friends be successful, so they start buying fish from you for years and years, right? So that's the kind of long-term thinking. And it's not the money part of it that like drives me, but I feel like my hope is, my whole thesis for this thing is that by having that be the goal and the thing that drives me, that the money will come, because I'll build the market. So if 100 people are keeping aquarium fish now, and I know that it's much larger than that, but for easy math, if 100 people are keeping aquarium fish right now, if 99% of them that buy from my company, and it's over that, by the way, that arrive alive and are still alive weeks or months later, as I hear from people, if they don't tell me, I don't know. But from the information I have, it's over 99% are successful. Then those people are going to love the hobby, and most of them are going to stay in it, hopefully, and they'll tell their friends, and it'll grow. So it's that kind of thing. I think it's so short-sighted how people are, I'm going to grab these fish and sell them as fast as possible so that they don't die on me. Right? I'm going to take these fish that have been in the stress of shipping and transshipping and export and all that for, I don't know, a week or two or more sometimes, and I'm going to get them and sell them right away, and that way I'll make money. Like, yeah, you might make money, but I was reading reviews on another store, because I'm always looking at what other people are doing, and someone bought pearl gouramis, and they're like, yeah, they arrive dead. Like, they did replace them, but the replacement came and it didn't have a tail. And like all these things, that person is not going to be in the hobby long if that's their experience time after time. Anyway, I'll stop ranting on that. You guys are all sick of hearing that, but it's something I'm passionate about. So every now and then, it's just going to happen. So, ultimately it's, I guess in a way, selfish. It's just good business, but it's also the thing that I like doing. So, Tristan Schuster, do you think I could put some of the swordtail fry that are a good size in an outdoor tub? Oh, geez. Yes. Like any other time, I would say, yeah, go for it. Just keep some back just in case. These are so near and dear and expensive and hard to source that Yes, you can. I mean, it just keep some back. But there's so many people that want my waiting list for these fish. I've got a dozen people right now on my waiting list, easy, that I could email and say, hey, I've got some pairs available. And they'd be like, oh, thank God, I've been waiting for months, right? This is a fish that people want. It can get people excited about the hobby and fish keeping, and it's just not available. So my personal take is, yes, you can, but it's such a valuable fish that I would hate to see it exposed to any risk at all that wasn't necessary. So I don't know, Tristan, it's up to you. Swordtails in general, yes, can do fine outside in tubs, especially if it's warmed up enough in your neck of the woods that temperatures aren't going to drop below, say, the upper 60s at night in the water at this point in time. Kaler's Aquatics. So we're talking about the red-eye red high-fin cauliflower swordtails. Tristan got some of those and he bred them. Congrats. And he's raising up a couple batches, I think. Back to Kaler. I have the Luke Roebuck Hawaiian Blues. I saw that in the Red Deltas. I saw that too. That's very exciting. I've shown my blue coals and get many requests for trays to buy, etc. Those are the fish I won't let back out in the hobby. Yeah. It's this. I think that's smart. Same reason I didn't ever sell Santa Maria and their coals. It's just, I gave some away to some friends and stuff, but what happens in those situations is people get those and there'll be a coal, right, Bob? But they'll say, hey, these are Luke Roebuck Hawaiian Blues, and then that gets distributed, and then it just muddies the lines and stuff. So long term, I think it's a bad idea to distribute coals of a strain that is rare and valuable. Just because what is the pure desirable traits and strain gets muddied at that point, because it's beyond your control at that point. That's the ultimate problem. So I agree with that move, Bob. I ended up doing the same thing. Rena Mar, and by the way, that's awesome that you have the Luke Roebuck strains. That's great that they're continuing. I'm thrilled to hear that. Rena Mar, quit trying to make yourself out as a bad guy. You need to make a living, and you want folks to be happy. It works for everyone involved. Cool. Yeah, I agree. And yeah, I don't think I'm a bad guy. I don't see trying to succeed in business as bad at all, especially if by doing so, if your business by being successful is improving the world, which is, I think, happening here. Bathy Phillip, how selfish of you, trying to make sure your customers are satisfied and successful so they come back to buy from you again. Yeah, but it's yes, I get your point, but it's I don't know. I just feel like there's an element of that in there, and that it should be acknowledged, and that not all selfishness is bad. Sometimes there are types of selfishness that can be the start of guiding someone down a good path. That's counterintuitive, but yeah. MJ Aquatics, hoy, and Fish Fam. Hey, MJ Aquatics, glad you're here. 53 watching, that's amazing. Good to see it. Tristan Schuster, I'm curious to see if they would go on like a breeding spree in the tub, but I'm worried about them jumping out. I've had a batch of fry from a different swordtail that I would use. Oh, yeah, great. Like any other strain that people aren't just dying to get their hands on, sure, give it a whirl. Couldn't hurt. And by the way, these red-eye red hyphens, these are the only swordtails I've ever had that jumped regularly. I don't know what it is about them, but they will jump, and it's super sad when they do. A few customers have lost them that way. Before I knew they did that, I lost a few that way too. So be careful if you get red-eye red hyphen swordtails. For some reason that I don't know, they jump like bettas, like wild-type bettas. They jump like killifish. Just whoop, they're done. Yeah. Surprised the heck out of me when that happened. Chewy LTD. Advanced Fish and Kaler's Aquatics also has Stefan Quartiers. I don't know how to say that. Quartlers. Bicolor blue greens. Awesome. Scout Town, howdy. The swordtails are awesome, but don't expect those fry to all have the finnage. Oh, I know. I only get about 5% with my group. Hopefully yours do better. Yeah, I totally realize that. I'm anxious to see how they turn out. And by anxious, I don't mean like scared anxious. I mean like excited anxious. So, but I'm perfectly aware of that. Yep. The Punnett square makes me think that I might have, hopefully around 25% or more. But your point is well taken. Yes. And by the way, Scouttown, I'm thrilled that you got them, and keep it going, man. Keep it going. At some point, I'm going to need to exchange breeders with people. To get new blood in the strain and keep things from going funky. And so I'll be reaching out to folks, after a few generations and being like, hey, let's freshen these bloodlines, and hopefully we can make everyone happy that way. Ginger Graves, $9.99. Ginger, thank you. You got to pay the bills. I'm happy to support that. You've got great fish. Hey, Ginger, thanks. I'm glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. And I hope everyone's doing well for you. I hope that the cochina are thriving and beautiful and all that. I know they can be... I'm lucky. For me, they've always been a really hardy fish, but they have a reputation for being super difficult. So I know they can be a challenge. Hope you're succeeding with those. I did everything I could to make it so that they did well for you. Aquarium Maniac. What is the best food for Odessa barb? So in my opinion, the best food for fish is variety. That's the stance I'm taking. That's what's always worked for me. I know people like LR Bretts or like tetracolor granules all day long, and that's all they feed. And foods are so darn balanced these days that maybe that's fine. But when I started keeping fish, foods weren't that great. And so I got in the habit of providing a large variety, a wide variety, all types of different foods. And that's just stuck with me. Also, during most of my fish keeping career, I've been a breeder. My goal has been, I want to breed fish and raise them up. I find great joy in that. And in order to do that, yes, you can feed flake food and get some spawning, but once you introduce live foods and some frozen foods and I don't know, maybe some mysis shrimp that pack protein and a lot of fats, you'll start getting a lot more yield when you're breeding. You'll get more robust females that are full of roe, and you'll get big spawns, and it's very satisfying. So there are lots of foods these days, I feel, that you could feed one food and only one food and probably be successful. But it depends. If you're just trying to keep fish, you could probably be successful. But that's not my goal. I always feed a wide variety. Now, I do think that a large part of that, I think that works best in a tank that's fairly natural. Lots of like plants, lots of algae, lots of things like that. Because what happens in those systems is... Bob, thank you. I'll get right to that, Bob. What happens in those systems is there's lots of algae growing. The fish eat some of that. So that supplements the diet. Say you're only feeding tetracolor granules. And this is how LR Bretts keeps his aquarium. So this is maybe why it works for him. The algae grows, the fish eat that. Okay, they're getting lots of nutrients from that, lots of vitamins and minerals and stuff that could be missing in some degree in the one food. There's also lots of biofilm growing. Okay, that's a nutritional supplement. Within those and on those two things, there's all kinds of little critters. They might be little copepod type things. They might be little invertebrates, like little worm type things. There's all kinds of stuff that grows in that and thrives in that. They're their own little ecosystems, their own little communities, and the fish are eating all that. So that's when I think it tends to maybe work in. And my suspicion is that might be why it works for someone like LR Bretts. But for me, the best food for fish is variety. That's always my answer, because that's just how I keep fish. I don't have experience just feeding one type of fish food and only one type of fish food, for any length of time. Killers Aquatics, $50. Bob, thank you. No more Professor. Fish Warehouse Fund. Bob, I appreciate it. I don't know what to say. every week. I just appreciate you so much, brother. And I hope one day to meet you and take you out for a meal and get to know you in person. That would just be a treat for me. So thanks, Bob. I appreciate you. Super chats are always appreciated, never required, but they make the wife super happy. On the Fish Warehouse Fund, I did have a cool thing happen, which is my realtor found a local bank that has a big old basement that they're not using. My realtor is on the board of this nonprofit, and the bank offered to let them use the basement at one point. It wasn't right for their needs, so they didn't take it. But so she knew about that, so she contacted the bank president, and she said, "Hey, would you think about renting that out?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'd think about it." So he's checking some things on his end. But it's a possibility that instead of building my own building, if the price is right, then I might be able to look at that. That's something as long as they're okay with it, might be able to look at. And I'm excited about that because basement space is as cheap as it comes, and it would just be a lot quicker to get the thing running. I wouldn't have to do the financing for a separate building, and I wouldn't have to go through the process of waiting for it to get built and all the delays and things that inevitably happen in those scenarios. So yeah, I'm excited about that possibility. We'll see. Candy's here. Candy Overhauls. Hey, I'm so glad you made it, Candy. I hope you're doing well. Hope the family's doing well. And so glad that Caleb's last trip to Denver is happening soon. It didn't just happen, did it? I think it's happening soon. So anyway, I'm excited about that. That's such great news, and I can't wait for you to say that part's done, at least for the foreseeable future. That is awesome. Tristan Schuster, my lid on my tank is on lockdown, so they don't jump. Yeah, good move. Oh, by the way, Aquarium Maniac, I should answer this question a little more. What food is best for Odessa barbs? I talked about food in general. One thing about Odessa barbs, whatever you're feeding, is keep in mind they're an omnivore. So don't forget to add some veggies to their diet. So many of the foods that we feed are high in protein, and a lot of them have quite a bit of fat in there too. But don't forget that Odessa barbs need a lot of veggies in their diet. So don't forget that component is what I would say. Something balanced with veggies. It could be as simple as spirulina flake. It could be as complex as like creating your own veggie gel food and occasionally feeding that. For me, it's usually making Repashy community food and cutting it 50% with Soylent Green, which is a vegetable-based Repashy food. That works well for me. I'll also occasionally throw in some fruit or blanched vegetables and stuff like that. And they eat pretty much everything. They're little pigs. If you do put in blanched vegetables and things, just make sure that you remove any uneaten portion, like at the end of the day. If you feed it in the morning, at night make sure you take that out, or it'll really create some stinky water real fast. Alrighty. Okay, we are 64 watching. So Corey's done. That's what that means. Welcome, everybody. If you have a question or comment for me, your friendly fishmonger, Dan from dansfish.com, then if you just make it at dansfish so it highlights, then I'll see it and get to it. Bob Kahlers, my fish would agree with you on the variety of foods at Danfish. Some even refuse to wait for a favorite food. I did start using a high-quality vitamin on the foods, too. Colors really popped. What vitamin is it? Is it like a spray you spray dry food with, or is it like a liquid that you mix into your Repashy or soak food in? I'd love to hear about that. If you found a way to make colors pop better, I want to know. Candy Overhauls, we're happy too. Yeah, I bet. I mean, what could be better for a mother, right? That sounds awesome. Rena Mar, my omnivores love fresh blants. I cannot speak. Full disclosure, Monday and yesterday I was in bed with a fever. Like I was sick. Like I couldn't keep anything down. It was miserable. And I don't usually talk about this stuff, but the reason I'm going to say it is because you haven't lived until you've been so sick you can't keep anything in your stomach, and the world is spinning. Like, it feels like you just drank an entire keg by yourself and then woke up the next morning. By the way, I wasn't drinking. This was just a pure sickness. And then you've got a shipping deadline to get a bunch of fish out that same day. Monday was horrible, like horrible. But anyway, that was Monday and yesterday. Today I'm much better, but I'm still a little bit, so I always have trouble saying words. And like, reading's hard. But today, it's something even more special just because of I'm still recovering a bit. So bear with me a little bit. Okay, Kaylor is talking about his vitamin. Oh, hang on. I didn't finish this. Renamar, my omnivores love fresh blanched green beans, zucchini, cucumbers, etc. They really go for it. Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget about things like pumpkin. Like when pumpkins go on sale after Halloween, I buy a bunch and I freeze them. And I mean, I cut them into little chunks and freeze them, and they do great. Got a dehydrator too. I've dehydrated a bunch of zucchini and stuff. And what I found is that the bad thing about dehydration is it makes everything float a bunch, but you can stick a fork in it, right? The good thing though is it makes it super palatable to like scuds and fish and stuff, so it makes it super easy for them to eat. So it's an alternative to like blanching a vegetable or a fruit. Jay Adams, I see you sell Niagara fasciata, the limias, humpback limias. What do you get? Where do you get those from? I breed those. I've been breeding that strain for, I don't know, a couple years now. And yeah, they're my own colony that just keeps producing. So that's where I get them from, my aquarium. The original stock came from a wholesaler in Los Angeles that I know. So they happened to find some and get some in, which is super rare for a wholesaler. And I was able to get some. So that's where the original stock came from. Rena Mar, I really hope you're feeling better. Oh, so much better. Like, almost 100%. Almost 100%. Yeah. And that, it had been 3 years probably since I had been sick like that. So it was my time. Like, it's going to happen occasionally. Feeling so much better. But feeling like that and having to, like, ship fish, man. When you're sick, all you want to do is be like, okay, I'm not doing anything today. I'm going to lay in bed, right? But sometimes you have to do stuff, and that's sick. Like, my respect for farmers back in the day is skyrocketed. Back in the day when you had to do it because you would die if you didn't. Like, if you were super sick, you still had to take care of stuff or you wouldn't be able to grow and produce your own food. Man, that had to have been tough. Sheesh. And they didn't have like Tylenol and Advil and all that stuff. Codeine. Oh. Tristan Schuster, last question. Oh, no worries, man. I love the questions. If you were to breed the fry that doesn't have a hyphen, wouldn't they still carry the gene? Can't they still produce hyphen babies? Okay, so let me show you something here. I'm going to see if I can find this really quick. Oops. Hang on. Jeez. Hang on real quick. I just screwed something up. Okay. Where is it? Michael Wilson shared with me a sheet on the inheritance chart for that, which I'm trying to find real quick. I might not be able to. Okay, it's not there. Let me check one other spot just real quick because this is worth looking at. This will make everything visual and easy to understand. Okay, it's not there. Try one more thing. No, I'm not going to be able to do it. But yes, if you breed a short fin male to a high fin female, then I think it's 25% of the baby. So I think it's 25% of the total babies, including the ones that died in utero, so to speak, will be high fin. So yes, if there was one of the parents was high finned, then you can breed two short fins together, and I believe you'll still get a percentage of those that are high fin. Now, without consulting that chart, I don't remember exactly what the proportions are and things, because I'm not library geek enough that it's up here. That's killifish for me. The killifish stuff is mostly up here, but all the other groups I have to kind of look up stuff. But yes, I believe so. I just forget which percentage. Cheshire Cat, hey, great to see you. I've read a few vague comments in the past about fish releasing hormones, yes, that could stunt or slow fry growth, but I can't find much more about this. Any thoughts on this? My thought is that I've never yet seen a study on it. So it's anecdotal. I don't know how true that is, like how much it actually affects things. The theory is this, that fish release hormones that inhibit competition. So if those hormones in the water reach a certain level, then the fish growth rate will be retarded. So if you keep a whole bunch of little fish in a small body of water, then they're likely to not grow as big. That's the theory. I have yet to see a study on it, and I confess, it's not something that I've been like, I need to study that, and gone and looked for the studies and stuff, so they might very well be out there. I'm just saying that I hear that a lot, but I've never seen someone say, like, the hormone thing, and like, here's the source for this comment. So I don't know if it's just hobby lore or not. But there's so many things that happen when you have a lot of fish in a small body of water, like a big batch of fry in an aquarium. Hormones aside, maybe that's happening, and if it is, maybe that's the effect they're having. Hormones aside, there's just a quick buildup of wastes. There's all kinds of stuff. Ammonia is likely to spike. Even if not, though, just the water quality itself is not as good. And so, for me, personally, the challenge I think we need to focus on is not what are hormones doing to this group of fish, because that might be doing it, or toxins that are resulting from crowded conditions might be doing it. There's all kinds of things that could be doing it. But the fact is, too many fish in too little water without enough water changes hampers growth. Whatever the reason, we can debate that. So the trick is very frequent water changes, right? Or a large aquarium with a few fry in it, things like that. So crowding does result in retarded growth. I'm not sure whether or not the cause is some kind of inhibition hormone that's released. It doesn't make sense to me, because if I'm trying to grow, why would I release a hormone that inhibits growth? Because it's going to inhibit my growth as well, right? So I don't know. But someone here could be like, here's the link, and there could be a scientific paper that I could go to right now and read and be like, oh, this totally happens. Like, I just don't know. But I know that water changes are the key. The whole trick to keeping fry is keep a ton of food in front of them, like all the time if you can, while keeping the water chemistry clean. That's the trick. And that's why with fry, it's tons of food and tons of water changes. Or massive tank, tons of food, less water changes, but probably lots of plants. So yeah, I hope that helps. Sorry I don't know that much about the hormones themselves. Aquarium Maniac, where can you find Mexican cave tetras? Oh, they're out there. Honestly, I think if you did a quick Google search, said, for sale blind cave tetras, maybe leave the Mexican off, because that's not always a trade name. It's blind cave tetra. They don't always call it Mexican blind cave tetra. Let's do it right now. Let's look. Okay. Here we go. To the Google machine. For sale blind cave tetra. They're very common in the hobby. Here you go. Arizona Aquatic Gardens has some. Wouldn't get them there. Just saying. I should. How do I do this? Read the reviews before you buy there. Oh, is that the only place? That cannot be the only place that has those for sale right now. Well, I mean, we'd have to look, but I bet you that we could find a few sources of them if we really dug in. Let's check and see if Get Gills has them. Let's see here. Any blind cave tetras here? Anyone see any or know of any? Doesn't look like it. Okay, then we have to go to Aquabid. I'm literally promoting my competition right now. Nope, they don't have any either. Oh, yes, they do. So Sharkalope Industries is selling them. 6 of them for $18. That's a great price, I have to say. Yeah, so there they are. Now, local pet stores often have these. They're kind of a neat fish, right? It's a blind tetra. That's kind of cool. So local pet stores often sell them. If you have a local pet store, it might be worth looking into that. I'm a bad businessman. I'm like, let me take you to my competition and set you up. Chewy LTD. I do believe you can find it by looking up homozygous in swordtails. Okay, let's check that out. Homozygous in swordtails. I know that with just more searching, I could totally find it. In fact, I saved it onto my computer somewhere. It's just that it makes for pretty bad TV, so to speak, to spend a lot of time looking for it. So I didn't see it right there. I'm not going to spend any more time just because I don't want to bore people. Kayla's Aquatics. FYI, I found the red eye African tetras at Wet Spot. Cool. I have 6 in tonight to go with my lone one. Thanks for watching out for them for me. Okay, so I'm glad you got some. Yeah, I never saw them on the list, but I'm glad you found some at Wet Spot. And it's Wet Spot. I mean, they generally have pretty good stuff. Cheshire Cat. I have 11 or so platyfry in a container, so it's been on my mind. Yes, I remove all their waste daily, but of course I don't want to unknowingly be stunting them. Yeah, I hear you. And you're doing it right. Change the water every day. I mean, if you're doing it in the evening, it might not hurt to change it in the morning too, if you can. You know, everyone's schedule is different. I know you're in college, and you know, school can be really busy. I spent 10 years in college. I get it. Geez, if I could do my life again. It's like, I'm 40 now. I think I finally know what I should do. I'm going to go back to my 20s and do it again if I could take the knowledge I have with me. Like, we've all had that thought, right? Anyway. But yeah, I mean, all you can do is as many water changes as you can. That's all you can do. Cherish, do you know... Oh, wait, I missed one. Chewy, Blind Cave, a blind fish. Not only tetras, but the Lamprologus as well. Yeah, they're pretty cool. That Lamprologus, I never knew there was a blind cichlid until last live stream, I believe, when it was brought to my attention. That's a cool fish. I've never seen it for sale. I've never heard of it. I don't know if it's in the hobby or not, but if it were, or if it is, then yeah, that's just kind of cool, right? Cherish, sorry, I'm back to you. Do you know if there are any snails or shrimp that eat parasitic eggs and fish poop after deworming them? Hard to gravel vac my carpeted tank. I use a 20-gallon QT now. Just curious. So are there any parasites that use snails as an intermediate host that could infect your fish, I think is the question. And the answer is, I know that there's a few. I don't know if they're in our aquariums. I don't know how common they are if they are in our aquariums, and I don't know which ones they are. So, yes, that happens in nature. Although from what I remember in that cycle, I believe there's also a bird involved in that. Like snail to bird to fish, and maybe there's humans in there somewhere in some cases. Yeah, I'm going to stop answering that question because obviously I'm rambling because I don't know for sure. So possibly I wouldn't know which ones, and I wouldn't know if it actually happens in aquariums. Go Fish Aquatics. It's only cool if you're not the blind one. Yeah, I mean, it's really neat that, anything we don't use just disappears. How organisms conserve their energy to create what they need, and if something isn't needed, it takes energy. Like your body burns power, right? The equivalent of about a 100-watt light bulb. So you're burning power. Well, some of that power is going to your eyes to see, right? So if you lived in a completely dark environment, you would, after a few generations, after time, realize at some level, not in your brain, but in your DNA, that, hey, we don't need this anymore. Stop putting energy into that so that you can conserve energy, or maybe put the energy somewhere more useful. It's just super neat. And to see that with the fish, they go into a cave. After a while, that's gone, because now they can put that energy elsewhere. I just think it's really cool to think about. And then there's been studies done where they've taken fish like that into light, and they start developing eyes again. So I don't know, it's really cool to just how nature compensates for things and puts its resources and energy to the absolute best, most efficient use that it can, I suppose. Cheshire Cat. 2 still in the main tank seem bigger, but it's hard to tell, probably. One is maybe 1.5 to 2 times bigger than the container fry, I believe that. However, it's also bigger than the other fry in the same tank. So, yeah, I mean, if you have fry in a small container and fry in an aquarium that's bigger and is a more stable system, almost always the fry in the larger tank are going to grow faster and grow bigger. Yep, because it's super hard in that small container to keep the conditions as optimal as they are in the larger, well-established system of an aquarium. Yeah. I've noticed that too if I move fish around. Sure. Trish. Oh, wait. Sorry? Yep. Oh, it's not churish. It's CH Irish. Ah. Is that right? Oh, that would be churish. Yeah. CH Irish or churish. I'm not sure which. Mainly I was asking to see if I could get the snails and shrimp to remove them. Oh. That I don't know. I don't know if there's snails and shrimp that will prey on the parasites to help remove the eggs. As like a control measure, I have no idea. Sorry. That's a new one to me. If you find out that there are, please come back and let me know. That would be amazing to find that out. All right, well, we've reached the... Oh, Candy Overhaul. CH Irish. Oh, it is CH Irish. Okay, cool. Trish, Chinese and Irish. Oh, got it. Got it. Awesome. So, CH Irish, right? I mean, or compact it into Chirish. Anyway, we've reached the bottom of the chat. We've been going for an hour and 44 minutes. I think it's time to call it. I am excited to go watch the replay of Corey's live stream with Dean and learn more about the fish industry and the farms he visited and all that stuff. Oh, wait. Candy's helping me out. CH Irish. Oh, so it's not CH Irish. It's CH Irish. Oh, Chirish. Chirish. Yes? Chirish. Did I do it? Did I do it? Chirish. Help me out here. There's a little delay. I want to make sure. Did I get it right? The website will not let me check out. Says shipping needs to be reset. Huh, G-Bear? Okay, G-Bear, let me check into that. I'm going to end the stream, and then I'll jump on to the site and get Jonathan looking at that to see what that means. I wonder if, I wonder if somehow some combinations were selected that just don't go together. and so it didn't work. I will get Jonathan looking at that right now, actually, G-Bear. All right, night, everybody. We're going to end this finally. Everyone's been like, wait, is he ending? Is he not? Is he ending? Is he not? We're ending. We do this 7 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time every Wednesday, so hopefully we'll see you next week. To anyone that gave us super chat, thank you, thank you, thank you. So appreciated. Never required, but makes the wife super happy. To my mods, I don't know, what do I say? My mods are awesome. And they give and they give and they give, and they're just so generous. Thank you, thank you, thank you. To everyone that asked questions and commented, thanks, because that's what makes this happen. It would be boring without you. And for all you that kind of helped out with other people in the chat, thanks for that. And all you lurkers, I feel ya. Until next Wednesday, 7 p.m., thanks. Have a good one.